It's time for CHCH News Now. Reporting from the Charger Cafe, I'm Cameron Jabs.
And I'm Tom Hull. Today's top stories include how students feel about the 2016 presidential candidates, as well as details on the Transgender Bathroom Bill.
We'll also get some tips on how to survive high school life by Ms. Balakonis and give an overview of the Panama Papers scandal.
And for our first story, correspondent Juliet Dent is on the CHCH campus to see how high school students feel about the 2016 presidential candidates.
So I think what's been a little conflicting for me is, I'm a registered Republican and I generally have conservative leaning views. So it's sort of tough to see the party in such disarray, and it's really tough to see Donald Trump as the main figurehead for the party, when I feel like he doesn't really fit my views as a conservative.
I support Senator Sanders the most of all the candidates for a bunch of reasons, but most importantly, immigration reform and education. Immigration reform is something that means a lot to me since I am an immigrant, but I want to see other immigrants cross the border safely and be able to lead the lives that they intended to lead rather than the ones that they are going to be forced to lead if our immigration reform stays the same right now.
I like to say I'm independent, so I'm not favored to one party, but I think Bernie Sanders would be the guy to go into office, definitely not Trump. Bernie definitely has a plan to help out the middle class. Donald Trump doesn't, and Hillary's kind of vague.
Thank you for that, Juliet.
In local news, the debate over transgender bathroom use hasn't escaped the Bay State's overwhelmingly liberal state legislature. Earlier this year, a House bill was introduced that stated that gender-segregated facilities and accommodations should be based on biological sex, rather than gender identity. This April, the bill died in committee. Despite the bill's proposal, it doesn't seem to have slowed down the support for the current public accommodations bill in both the House and the Senate, which would give legal protections to transgender people using facilities consistent with their gender identity. Even Boston Mayor Marty Walsh showed his support for the transgender community and the anti-discrimination bill by raising the transgender flag in front of the State House on May 2nd. While many organizations and politicians say that this is a great step forward for equal rights, others worry about sexual predators using the law to commit crimes. For our next story, we'll sit down with Ms. Ashley Balakonis, an SAS teacher at Chapel Hill Chauncy Hall School here in Waltham. The SAS program provides tools to help students develop efficient study skills and strategies.
So I'm here today to talk about some ways to get organized for high schoolers. One of the biggest tips I would say to be organized is to follow a planner. Using an actual hard copy of a planner will help you stay organized. It works, for your time management. It kind of helps you plan out long-term assignments. It really gives you a sense of, okay, this is how many days I have to do an assignment or a project, and I really need to use my time well. It helps you kind of visualize. The next thing that I really support kids doing is making a to-do list. By making a to-do list, you're able to say, okay, I have these 5 things I need to do tonight. Let me physically check off. It also helps with anxiety to kind of see exactly what you have to do and how you can cross it off. And the feeling of crossing things off is really awesome. The other thing that I think really helps kids, specifically at Chapel Hill, but I'm sure other schools have online programs. So at Chapel Hill we have My CHCH, where students are able to kind of see what teachers post in terms of weekly assignments, nightly assignments, and it's another tool to help them kind of stay organized. And there's this little checkbox that they can say, in progress or completed, which is really cool. Every student should have a folder for every class because we still do have handouts, and keeping that organized will always help you study for tests. You can put one side is completed, one side is to complete, just to kind of help you stay organized in that way. Setting up reminders on your phone. We're super into technology these days. Phones all have calendars. Setting a reminder and saying, okay, at 8 o'clock tonight, I need to make sure I open up my chemistry textbook and go through all of my assignments or all of the definitions and all of the questions to make sure I understand what the assignment is and then actually proceed to do it. Setting a reminder is super, super helpful. We set them to get up in the morning. Why wouldn't we not set them to make sure that we do our work?
Thanks, Mrs. Balakonis. And now here, Kyle Gomes with the entertainment news.
Thanks, Tom. In November of 2017, Marvel will be releasing Black Panther, starring Chadwick Boseman. This is a big step for black representation in Hollywood, as this is the first Marvel movie to include a black superhero lead. Chadwick Boseman has previously starred in the critically acclaimed 42, a movie based on the legendary Jackie Robinson. Even though the Black Panther movie won't come out for nearly a year and a half, he has an important role to play in Marvel's latest movie, Captain America Civil War, which came out May 6th. In gaming news, after 6 decades, console gaming might be reaching its end. In recent years, mobile phone gaming has been rapidly growing in popularity due to it being on your phone, along with their freemium aspect. This approach at gaming has attracted a much wider audience than console gaming ever could. Many big gaming companies such as Square Enix and Sega have become more and more focused on mobile phone gaming. We might be close to the end of console gaming as companies are finding more and more revenue and audiences in the mobile phone gaming market. I'm Kyle Gomes, and that was your entertainment news.
Thanks, Kyle. Today's top story concerns the Panama Papers, the leak which has still been creating political discourse on an international level. While the leak has been considered an important development in educating the masses on international tax evasion, the sheer size and complexity of the issue can make it hard to digest. We'll take a bird's eye view of the issue and break down the fallout since the leak. It's time for a closer view. In 2014, the German newspaper Süddeutsche Zeitung was contacted by a man named John Doe, asking if they wanted information. It took the team a good 2 years of work in order to sift through all the documents. Here's what we know. The leak contained data from Mossack Fonseca, a Panamanian law firm which specialized in creating offshore shell corporations in tax havens. An offshore shell corporation is a fancy way to say company. While these companies can be used for legitimate purposes, they're often used to launder money and avoid taxes. These companies are located in tax havens, or countries that have low income and inheritance taxes, as well as being unwilling to give information to international tax authorities. What does this mean? That means that someone could put their money in a sort of international bank account and they wouldn't have to pay taxes in their home country. Now, over 11.5 million documents from the law firm were stolen by John Doe, and these 11.5 million documents span from early 1970s to December of 2015. That's over 40 years worth of bookkeeping. This 2.6 terabyte release of information is the largest leak ever. With Edward Snowden's global surveillance disclosure, only 15% is large. Major politicians including British Prime Minister David Cameron and former Icelandic Prime Minister Sigmundur Gunnlaugsson have been connected to offshore accounts. Gunnlaugsson even resigned after the Panama Papers originally leaked on April 5th. The International Consortium of Investigative Journalists released a database of information on May 9th, which indicted even more high-profile figures.
Now a story that's fresh out of the oven. Usually, a pizza box is made out of cardboard, but a pizza shop in Brooklyn, New York, recently started making pizza boxes that are made out of real pizza. Owner talked about this innovation as a way to reduce waste and giving customers more value for their pizza. Pizza dough is great at insulating, so it will keep the pizza warm.
Now that's one cheesy idea.
That is all for CHCH News Now. Thank you for watching.
From all of us here in the studio, we remind you to make good decisions. Have a nice day.